teaming with a Tinker, and he won't like outlevel me, and most of the times I'm like one level ahead or half a level ahead.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I get ganked mid. For example, I played like 2 games ago a Tinker, and I was doing pretty good against an Invoker. I was ahead of him, and then I got ganked a lot by a Pudge. Not that I was being hooked a lot, but I just got ganked a lot, and that kind of affected my game. And from then on, I just played a really bad Tinker. And I think my decision making isn't that good sometimes.
Okay.
I do stuff that I know I shouldn't do, and I still do it. Like for example, in that game, uh, I knew the Invoker was bottom. Like my lane was pushed into their tier 2 tower, and I knew he was there. But I thought, okay, I'm gonna TP there. I'm gonna blink into the bushes, and he's not gonna get me. And he still did, you know.
Yeah,
And
that's
I shouldn't
the
have done that, you
yeah.
know.
There's kind of like two parts to that. One is like you know what you're doing wrong, and I can't really help too much with it. But the second part of that is the way that you want to look at situations like that is um, like mentally noting what you think the percent of you dying is, and then mentally like trying to evaluate what your death is going to end up doing. So let's say if you die, then you lose the racks. And let's say there's a 50% chance you die for whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
Um, then you have to like average it out, kind of, or at least that's how I do it. And I'm like, is me going and getting this creep wave worth losing half a racks? Um, and if the answer is yes, then you could do it, and but you also have to like value it against what else you could be doing. Like if you're doing two things that are equal, and one is like, yeah, it's worth doing, but you might lose your axe for it. But there's also this other thing that's worth doing that you won't have any chance of losing your axe for. It's just like that's the only way that I can like instruct you on learning to not do stupid shit that you know is stupid.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. And I don't know. I've been. I guess the Tinker games are not that important to analyze because it's just not a hero I'm very good at.
Yeah,
I'm still
yeah.
trying to learn it.
I think a lot of it's gonna be figuring out how you actually recover um, on Tinker, because it seems like you do fine if you're ahead, but you do horrible if you're behind, and that's just kind of like figuring out. Part of it is the risk analysis of like, is going for this creep wave worth the 20% chance that I'm just gonna die to a Pudge? Um, and if it's not, then maybe trying to go jungle or something instead, and wait for the push to show up somewhere else. Like things like that will. Um, Tinker's one of those heroes where if you can get ahead and stay ahead, he's really good. But he's also very easy to shut down. If you kill him once, it's really easy to delay his bots by like 5 minutes off of that, and then
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
if
That's what
you
happened. Like I was doing very good with my net worth, and I was on time for my BOT. But then
yeah
I got killed once. It was a really close kill, you know. Like I got
yeah
first blood. I killed the Invoker first blood. Seems like he asked for help by a Pudge. So when he ganked me, it basically set me back a lot for my BOT. Like he
yeah
kept ganking me the whole game. And I know maybe I'm not supposed to blame my teammates, but I got no rotations, and that also fucked me up a little bit more.
um my fucking Dota isn't opening. Let me. But yeah, it's kind of like um, I'd have to see it to comment like better.
Yeah,
But it kind of sounds like one of those things where I think a lot of people go through where you know something is, you're at the level where you know it's wrong, but you do it anyway out of habit, and like you kind of have the mentality of it might happen, but there's no chance it's actually gonna happen. Like you have one of those that you go through mentally, and it's like there's either two ways that you could do it. One is the risk analysis thing that I talked about, and the other is just doing it enough times and then getting sick of just losing games because you do something that you know that you shouldn't be doing. And either one of those works. It's just the second one is a lot slower. Um, but I might have to restart my computer real quick because my Dota's
Okay.
not opening.
There's been a few updates because of the Dota Plus. I bought I subscribed to Dota Plus because
Yeah.
I think it's gonna help a lot,
I got it just because, like, why not? Um,
and it's cheap.
yeah, it's only $4. I only got 1 month because I don't know if it's gonna be any good or not. But
Yeah, exactly, same.
all right, there we go. Dota's open. All right, I'm gonna share my screen over Skype. Um, um, so where are you at? What is your Steam name?
Air Chuan. It's a
So
really stupid name.
you just got on. I'm gonna invite you so I don't have to look for you every time that I go to um, your recent games. So which game did you want to go over then?
I don't know. I just played because I've been playing different games. Like also, I want to learn how to offlane properly. Like
Okay,
I think that's my weakest role. Like
sure.
sometimes I do really well in the offlane because I control the offlane, but sometimes I just get killed a lot. But I'm gonna tell you the games I've played, and you tell me which one we should analyze. I just played a Pudge game right now, which we won. We had mega creeps, and we still won. But um, I don't know. Maybe we can analyze it, and you tell me if I roamed efficiently or something like that.
Okay.
And then there's the Tinker game that I'm talking about. That I'm not sure if you want to look at it because it makes me look like a worse player than I am, maybe. And then there's this PA game where I did pretty well, but we still lost. And I think it's good that we can look at it because there were a lot of targets that were hard to kill. And maybe you can tell me you shouldn't have done this, you should have done this, or you shouldn't have went for this guy, but for the other guy.
Well, what
Yes.
usually happens in the first lessons is the early game ruins the mid to late game. At least, like, if I'm trying to get you to play at my level, your early game is going to hurt your mid game. Just like you can be playing as good early as you are mid, but how you're playing right now is not where we want you to end up playing. So, if we fix the early game, it's going to have impacts on your mid to late game. So, like,
In what way?
like if you just have 1,000 less gold or you don't have the correct item, the game is completely different. Um,
Because I'm
like,
gonna be practicing something new or something like that.
well, it could be. Well, there's a lot of things. Like, let's take your PA game. It might be you should have went phase boots instead of power treads, and if you went phase boots, you can solo the lane. Your supports can go win the off lane,
Okay.
and their off laner won't get anything at all. And then you might get like an extra level or something like that. So their offlaner's completely shut down. You're doing better because you're getting more experience because your supports aren't there, and then your offlane wins because you did this instead of that. So it's like that, and then that's just from like one thing.
But how does having a power tread instead of a face boot is gonna make that happen?
Phase
Oh,
boots.
you're hold on. I wasn't watching the replay.
Yeah, it just started.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, you're
so
watching the Pudge game?
yeah, I'm going through the Pudge one because Pudge I have 3 times. I think still like 3 times as many Pudge games as any other hero.
Okay.
So it's one of my most experienced heroes. And position 4 is the position that I play most. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna start with this one because I'm sure that we're gonna find a good bit of things. I don't like you starting with the two mangoes. I don't know if you. I don't know if
Well,
Pudge was the hero of the day. No.
no. I bought it because I thought that it's gonna give me good regen, and Pudge is like he needs a lot of mana. Like if you miss one hook, you can't do anything else. You know,
Well,
and I
it's
feel like Pudge is constantly in action. So like if I'm at level 3 and I need an extra hook, a mango is good.
I see your point, and it's not like bad. It's just not optimal either.
Okay.
Um, what I'd
So
much
what should I
rather,
do?
I would have much rather seen you go tangos and boots, and then
More
um,
tangles?
just one
Oh,
set of
tango and boots.
tangos. Yeah,
That's how I used to do it. I used to buy one tango and boots and then go for Trenko boots.
yeah.
But
But the thing that you want to do with that you're probably not doing is you want to use the bounty and gold to buy yourself some clarities. Um, and then also another thing that you're probably not doing optimally is because you said Pudge is in action a lot. Um, does it make sense to you that the first second that you appear in a lane you have the most impact, and the longer you stay you drop off on impact? Does that make sense, or do you want me to explain that?
what do you mean? Can you say that again?
Basically, when you show up to a lane and the
Uh
enemy
huh.
first realizes you're there, that's
Yeah.
when your impact is potentially the highest.
Okay.
Because let's say,
Because
let's say,
Tusk has to stay back and can't get XP. That's what you mean?
well, there's a lot of things kind of like if basically let's say you start bottom, and you zone out the Tusk some, you get your level 2.
Can
I
you give me a
guess,
second?
yeah,
Somebody
go
logged
ahead.
on Discord and is talking to me.
Sure.
Theory, what's up? I'll get back to you because I'm in the middle of a coaching session. Yeah, I bought an hour. I'll be right back. Cause you suck. Bye. It's a friend of mine. He's like, well, why don't you pay me?
Yeah, I heard that. Um, but yeah, so the back to what I was saying. Let's say you go bottom, you zone out the Tusk, and then you just kind of like disappear into the fog of war to him. He plays like you're still there, kind of. And then let's say you show up mid, the Invoker isn't playing like you're there. So when you first show up, he has to like
Stay back.
yeah, it's kind of like the element of surprise, basically, where this guy thinks you're there, and then this guy either does or doesn't think you're there, and you're basically having twice the impact by not
Just being
there.
there.
Yeah. So does that? It's kind of like a little bit more complicated than that. Also, like there's also an element of what you can often do as a position 4 and 5 is if you guys correctly zone out this Tusk. Let's say it takes you and the Witch Doctor at level 1 to zone this guy out, like completely, and then you like either get a kill or you don't. You make him use a lot of regen. You zone him out until like a minute and a half, and then by that point, your Witch Doctor is going to be strong enough to zone him out on his own. And your PL this whole time will be farming, and then eventually your PL will be strong enough to zone out the Tusk on his own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So with that in mind, it's also, how do I put it? It's kind of like when you take these heroes, the Pudge and the Witch Doctor, and they already won a lane, and then you move them to another lane that's been solo experience and farm, it's better than having been there the whole time. Let's say, let's make a scenario where game A you do what I just said, and game B you start top with the Omni Knight. and at 3 minutes on both of the games, you end up top. Um, in game A, where you started doing this shit, you're gonna be a higher level. The experience between you and Omni is going to be higher in the situation where you zone this guy out and then you had top at 3 minutes than if you had sat top the whole 3 minutes, because you're getting experience elsewhere and you're doing other things while this guy's getting solo experience. So you can win this lane and then show up to this lane and have more impact because you have more experience in all of that. So going to multiple lanes is a really good way to have more impact. And all of this wraps back to the point of you saying that Pudge is supposed to be a lot of action, but if you play it how, like I just described, you can take a fight and then disappear into the fog and run a clarity, and get more mana from the clarity than you will from the mango, and it's less gold. And then also, if you start boots and tingos, you usually start rot on Pudge anyways, so it's not going to be until level 2 that you even have the option of using mana, let alone need more mana. So with that in mind, and you getting 80 gold at the start of most games, you can just throw a clarity on the courier, and then whenever your mid flies out an item, you can have it like go from there to you to bring you the clarity.
Yeah, that makes sense. The reason I stopped buying boots is because Rot got nerfed like twice, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to, Rot and use boots appropriately like I used to.
What you mean?
Well, before the nerf, like I could, the Rot was like 20% slow, I think. Now it's 17. Like with the boots, I could have just slowed down the enemy hero and just attacked him to death. But now I can't, because he's just gonna run away.
It's basically the same as it used to be. With you getting 10 more movement speed from your boots, you're gonna be slowing them for like, most heroes have around 300. So 3% less slow is gonna end up being like 9 to 10 movement speed. So the amount that Rot got nerfed is about the same amount that Boots movement speed got buffed. So it's basically the same thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't take into account that Boots got buffed, I guess.
Yeah. And then the two mangoes, it's kind of like...
he had a ward there the whole time? No, he didn't, right?
No, he didn't. But with the going these, instead of going boots, if you go boots first, you're only 500 gold away from your tranquils, or 500 and like whatever. I think it's 550 or some shit. And wouldn't you rather have the 13 health per second rather than the shitty 2 health per second?
Yeah, of course.
And the extra movement speed and all of that. So it's kind of like, I get what you're trying to do with this, but it's like, it's not worth it. Like the mana is just not good enough, and it just delays your tranquils. I'd rather see you just flying out clarities whenever you need them rather than doing this, because this is 200 gold that you, if you run a clarity for the whole duration, it depends on what your intelligence is, because it, like you get the 28% amp on the clarity, but a clarity will give you more mana than a mango will for half the cost, and it will scale up. So it's kind of like you'd much rather just have tranquils, because tranquils also are they're on the way to the build that you want to have, whereas mangoes are completely out of the way. So it's at 20 minutes, you're gonna much rather have gone the tranquils than the mango build. And then this right here it's pretty it's a pretty simple concept, but it's a lot of people don't consider it. It's looking at where your creep wave is, and then assuming that the enemy creep wave is in the opposite, like parallel to it, kind of, or I guess mirror should or would better describe it. But if you know that the creep wave is right here, do you really want to go all in on this guy?
Yeah, I didn't take that into account, but what I thought is that if I wasn't gonna trade that much, but I thought when he was there, I thought if you really want to trade, Witch Doctor is right behind me, like we're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
It
I
was
guess it
a
ends up fine.
Yeah, it's a really close call, I guess, and I should have taken that into account. But
Oh, another aspect that you're probably not taking into account is you're gonna push the wave from this. Not only did you rot down these guys, but also this your creep wave met the enemy creep wave sooner than this one will. Like if you didn't do that, this creep wave would have already been here attacking these guys, which would have pushed towards you more. And you aggroing these guys at all will always slightly push your creep wave into them. And early game, this is basically a hero and a half, or like 2 heroes worth of right click damage. So when you took that Tusk fight, it wasn't like a 2v1, it was more of like a 2v2.5 or a 2v3, but you got so much damage on him before the creep wave showed up that it didn't end up mattering too much. But
yeah,
now the creep wave isn't too bad. The PL's doing pretty good with it. I think he's managing it well. You should have been tangoing the whole time. But he's been the only reason that it's not gonna be horrible is because he's been managing the creep wave really well. And if he hadn't done that, you would have been a lot more punished for what you did there. And then I don't like you going the Ring of Health instead of the boots. It's just the impact per gold is not, it's not even close. You're probably gonna gain an extra like 150 health by buying this one first, as opposed to the boots. But the boots might like get you a kill or save your life. And then when you do finish the tranquils, you're gonna heal up to full either way, regardless of what you picked up. Just because tranquils heal for so much so quickly in the early game that you're like it doesn't matter if you get healed. When you get tranquils, it doesn't matter if you have like 20 health or like 99% health. You're gonna heal full most of the time. So if you're like 150 higher than the low end of that, it doesn't matter too much. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does.
So like here, you got your you had your ring of protection or ring of regen the whole time, and then you're gonna go over here, and you're gonna like you're gonna be full health, and you're not gonna break your tranquils. I guess you accidentally do, but it doesn't matter too much. But this whole gank would have looked the exact same if you got your boots first instead of your ring of regen. But you would have had more kill threat potential on the Tusk if you went boots first. And another thing that I would like to see you doing is also like it's 4 minutes in the game and these are completely useless.
Yeah, I haven't used it.
Well, it's you use the regen, like kind of.
Yeah,
But at most it would have been 200 gold and healed you for probably around what is that? Like at most 400 500 health over the whole duration. But now these are just kind of like completely useless. And
yeah,
they're just worse than Clarity's and it's only 4 minutes in the game. But what I do want to point out is you should definitely be using your quick buy a lot more. Do you know that you can fill that up to like 8 components?
yeah, with Control Shift.
Yep.
I know.
And you should be putting I like to put tranquils and earn in there. You should be picking up earn every game as Pudge.
Why?
It's fucking broken as shit. So it doubles your mana regen, just how mana regen works. And if we look at the where is it? if we look at the mana regen and the gold cost of Urn, and then we look at the mana regen and the gold cost of Voidstone, for 25 more gold, you get 2 all stats, 2 armor, and all of the active of Urn. So
Yeah.
it solves your mana problems. It solves your health problems because eventually, at like 25 minutes, Tranquils are gonna like sometimes not be enough to heal you up after a fight, and like by the time that a fight ends and they respawn, Tranquils will eventually not be doing enough for you. And then Pudge has a ton of health, a ton of magic resistance, but he doesn't have shit for armor. So the armor is also really good on him.
The reason I didn't buy any of that is because I didn't think I needed Urn. Like I wanted to rush Force Staff because there was a Tusk, there was a Furion, there was an Invoker. So I thought I'm not gonna waste gold buying Urn because I don't get much gold. I want to get that Force Staff quick.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
it's I get the logic, but it's kind of like your Urn is going to give you mana, and the active of it is going to save your teammates and net you kills. So much so that it might make you get to your 4 staff sooner than.
So you're saying I should get Urn always as a
like
Pudge?
basically every single game.
Okay.
I'd say like the only time that you shouldn't get it is like if somebody else gets it. I think as most every team, as a general rule of thumb, I would like to see every single team pick up an Urn.
Yeah, because if you finish the fight and you want to push, Urn helps a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of like Pudge's problem is he can gank and do all this shit, but he can't push for like dick.
Yeah.
So if you take a fight and let's say you and your PL survive, and then their Tusk survives, your PL has no health regen or anything. He's down to 200 health. He can die to just like a random Tusk showing up. If you Urn him, you use a 900 gold item to let you push with all of the net worth of that PL and all of the experience of that PL. Plus, it solves your mana problems and it gives you a good bit of early armor. And then also later on, it breaks Tusk's blink. If this guy gets a blink, it's just like so. It's so good for less than 900 gold that I couldn't see almost any game where I wouldn't want to go it right after Tranquil's Reels. Yeah, because it's like this hero gets.
You see what happened here? Like I knew Tusk was around, but I wanted to see if the bounty was still there, and I died.
Vision of it.
I knew that was gonna happen, and I still went for it.
Yeah, this is just you had vision of him completely. So there, like, there's, you know what happened there.
Yeah. I think I have to work on my map awareness also, because sometimes I have vision and I don't see the heroes coming in.
Yeah, I got you. That's just kind of like a lot of what that is getting comfortable with all of the other stuff of Dota to the point where. Like, Dota is really just building up good habits to the point where you can build up other good habits. Like, tread switching is a good example. Tread switching is probably going to make you lose a lot of games until you get really good at it, and then it'll make you have a slightly higher win rate. Because if you're focusing too much on tread switching, you're not focusing on, oh look, there's a guy that just showed up to my lane with a 4-second stun, or whatever. But after you get past the phase of building the habit, you don't have to think about it at all when you use it later on. And that's how like almost everything in Dota is. And then when you get the other things sorted out, you can focus more of your like active brain, I guess, focusing on the map while your like subconscious deals with tread switching and what's my mana at, and all of that other small shit. That feels bad. The tower went to the other creep.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now you would have your urn. You'd have twice the mana regen. Um, Also, if you're ganking the invoker, you want to have dust. Um, and then when you get urn, you want to I usually like to sit around one urn charge because if you have 0 urn charges, when you kill someone, you get 2 urn charges. So I usually like to use the first one to heal the dude that I just ganked with. Like, let's say I gank with the PL. I gank the PL's lane, we go on the Tusk, the PL takes some damage. I'll earn him, I have Tranquils, I'll be fine. And then I sit on the 1 urn charge, and then when I go for the Invoker kill, I'll earn the Invoker to guarantee that I get the kill, which gives me 2 more urn charges. But like this is one of those things where by you not getting urn, it's going to impact the rest of your game, like we were talking about before. But as a position 4, there's a mentality that you want to. Basically, there's a thought process that you want to go through when you're deciding what to do in the early game. And the first step of it is deciding what needs to be done in the game.
Hold on, give me a sec.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm back. Sorry.
No,
I
you're
had
good.
to answer the door.
I just rewinded and I wanted to go over the early game a little bit more. So at this point, you killed him, and then you killed him again. His TP is going to be on cooldown. At this point, wouldn't you agree that the lane's already won?
Yeah.
You killed him twice. Like you guys need to regen up a little bit, but this is an example of you won you won bottom already, and if you leave, your Witch Doctor can deal with this Tusk on his own. So with that in mind, you should be starting to go to the other lanes and trying to win those lanes, because this one's already won, and then eventually your Witch Doctor will win it enough that your PL will be ahead enough that he can solo the Tusk, and then he can also rotate. But the thought process that you want to go through as a position 4 in the early game is first thinking about what needs to be done. So what needs to be done this game is you want to have your Shadow Fiend and your PL have a decent early game, and you want to shut down the AM and the Invoker as much as you can. Preferably in the early game too. And then after you figure out what you need to do, you then go to the second step, which is figuring out what you can actually do. So what you actually can do you can't actually go do shit to this AM, right? He has a
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't go top.
Yeah. There's a Furion, there's a Treant, all you have is an Omni. This guy can always just... There's nothing that stops the AM from just blinking away. So in the early game, you can't really do shit to this guy. So you can't actually go top, but you need to go top. So you don't go top because you're not going to do anything. If you go there, you're just going to either waste your time or you're going to die and it's going to be counterproductive. And then middle lane, you can't really do anything at level 1 because they changed the towers and it's like there's not as much space. Plus, your Shadow Fiend just kind of like wants to do his own thing. He wants to get his experience, he wants to get his souls and all of that. And Invoker's not really going to stop that in the very beginning of the game. So you can't really go here at the very start either. But at this point, if you want your boots of speed instead of this, you would easily be able to go mid and like body out the Invoker, at least some. And you probably would want to go mid, see if you can do anything there. And if it looks like you can't, then like come back bottom-ish, but don't like go directly into lane. And then the Invoker will have to play like you're still there because for all he knows, you still could be there. And then your Tusk is either going to play like you're there, going to gank him, or he's not going to. And if he doesn't, you can possibly kill him. And if he does, then you just sit like here, like getting bounty runes and stacking and shit. And then you have 2 lanes that are scared of you being there. And then you win both of those lanes just by like not being on the map. And then you figure out in the later game, if you start shutting down the Invoker, your Shadow Fiend gets ahead. You're shutting down the Tusk. Your PL's getting ahead. Eventually, the Treant and the Nature's Prophet are probably gonna go help these lanes. And then when they do that, if you don't feel like you can do anything there, you can go top when the AM's alone against the Omni Knight, and then you can just hook him into Heal Bomb, and then hook him into Heal Bomb, and then you could kill him the second or third time. So by winning these 2 lanes, you can win this lane later when these guys have to rotate. And then the third step is thinking about what the game is going to end up looking like if you go to whatever lanes in the mid game. And the best example that I have of that is I had a game where I was either a Clockwork or a Pudge or some shit. I don't really remember. But the example is that they had a Tinker and a Spectre, and I could go to either lane and do whatever I wanted to. Like, I could kill the Spectre, or I could kill the Tinker, or at least, like, shut them down. But because I figured out what the late game would look like if I went to either lane, if I shut down the Tinker, it also shut down the Spectre. If I shut down the Spectre, the Tinker would catch up, and then he'd delay the game enough that the Spectre would be able to come back regardless. So this game doesn't really have that too much, but it's kind of like you would prefer to shut down the AM because the AM, if he gets ahead, is going to delay the game more than the Invoker would. Does that make sense? All of that?
Yeah, it does.
So with that in mind, what you've done so far is good, but I would be looking to go screw with the Invoker some here. I'd get these bounty runes, and then I'd like come over here and try and do shit. Because your Witch Doctor should be able to...
But you said if I delay the AM, I delay the Invoker. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Because Invoker is the one that can delay the game. AM can't do shit.
AM, if he's good, he'll get a Battle Fury, and then he'll split push your waves, which will delay the game.
Okay.
Invoker won't really do that too much. But you can't really shut down the AM too much. The first step... knowing that the AM is more important to shut down, it puts you... You can't really do anything about it right now, but let's say the Nature's Prophet and the Treant go bottom, and it's just kind of like, if you went bottom too, it wouldn't do anything. So you have the chance of ganking the Invoker and the AM, and let's say for whatever reason you have the same chance of killing the Invoker as you do the AM. If you go through the first step, you will figure out that the AM is more important than the Invoker. Or going through the third step would actually figure that out for you. But it's basically, you figure out how to value doing separate things to separate people. And if you value killing the AM more, when you see an equal opportunity to do two different things, you'll know which to go for and why. Does all of that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And that should help you a lot with, like, right now you don't need to be here. Like, it's kind of the witch doctor's fault, but he should be, like, over here, like, poking this guy and shit. And then you should be, like, trying to do shit, like, somewhere else. Preferably mid, but, like, go mid,
But
see if it works, and then...
the reason I didn't go mid that much, the only times I went mid was to rotate to help the Shadow Fiend, is because I've tried to do that games before, and good invokers, or at least the good ones in my MMR, they kill me, even if I hook them.
Um,
Like obviously it depends on where I'm hooking them, but invoker is just so powerful that he just kills me.
I'd have to see that to see
This
what...
one is pretty bad. This invoker, I found him to be really bad. He was pretty easy to kill, but I've played against invokers that make it so hard to gank them.
In the early game, he's not really that strong, so it might be you're trying to gank him at like 8 minutes instead of like at 3 or 4.
Yeah.
In 4 minutes, you're a lot stronger with your ganks. Because like in the daytime, it's really hard to land a hook, but he doesn't have vision here. He doesn't have vision here. He doesn't have vision like over here and shit during the night. So the nighttime ganks are a lot easier than the daytime ones. But yeah. And then if you didn't go for these, you would have, and you had your raindrop, the game would start to be looking a little bit different at this point. So I think it might be good to switch to the other replay at this point, because you'd have to probably get another replay for us to continue talking on the position 4.
Okay.
So what was the other one that you wanted to go over?
Um.
The PA one?
Yeah, it could be the PA one. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm also not very good at picking heroes in the draft. Like, I don't feel I have a 100% grasp on how to counter a hero or how to pick against some heroes. I just have the general knowledge, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not that savvy with that.
1 sec. There isn't really like... It'd take so many hours for us to like go through that what I usually recommend is I'll send you 1 sec. Shit. I sent you a link to that's what I use. It's a link to Dota Buff, the counters matchup, and just the way that I would do it. Let's say, let's take your game as an example. Your 9th pick here, so you know that they have a Bounty Hunter, an Underlord, a Zeus, and an AM. So I would go to, I'd say, usually you look for the most polarizing heroes on the enemy team, and then just look up what is good against those. So this game, I'd look up what's good against the AM and the Zeus, and maybe the Bounty Hunter as a carry. So if we go to...
Shouldn't I be worried about the Underlord? Because he's the one laning against me?
Yeah, you want to be thinking about like how you lane against him, but you don't really care too much about him after that. So that's also something you want to look for. But you go to you go
Dota
to
buff?
yeah, and then like I'll send you the 1 sec. You go to you go to the AM one, and you're like, all right, well, Meepo is pretty good against AM. PA is pretty good against AM. Troll, Terrorblade. You look for what the carries are that's good against AM, and then you go to Zeus's also. One sec. You go to Zeus's also, and then you find a hero that would be good against both of them. So against Zeus, AM's pretty good, but of course they have AM picked. Huskar's good against it, Lifestealer, Juggernaut, and then you just kind of like find the first one that's good against both of those, and then you're like, does that lane it well against the Underlord? And that's kind of like, if you do that for all of your games, it helps a lot, because it's one thing to like theorize how things do against other things, but it's another to see the actual
the stats.
Yeah.
Or the numbers.
Like, yeah, and then you might see somebody that is like pretty decent against both, but it's like not somebody that you would think about, like Zeus. I wouldn't really think that like Juggernaut's that great against him, but it wouldn't be the first hero that pops up. But then I see it on the matchups as like the ninth best hero against him, and then I'm like, all right, well, yeah, that makes sense. And then Juggernaut might also be good against AM. He's probably not, but and then you just find the most common one. Like Chaos Knight might be really good against both of these heroes, which I don't think he like is, but he could be like the stun and the rift could be enough to just melt the AM and the Zeus. And later on, if you get a heart, maybe the Zeus can't deal with your illusions or some shit like that. But
Yeah.
if you use this tool, you'll be able to start figuring out what to pick in what situations. It's a lot better than anything that I could teach in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions on that?
No, I understood everything.
Okay. And then you're the PA. I don't like you going the Quelling Blade, because you can just get that at the side shop. Would have rather seen you get like
Mango and 2 branches,
possibly, yeah.
or maybe a healing salve.
Yeah, either one of those would have been like good. Probably the wand would have been better, because this guy's not gonna like completely body you out. Like, salves are really good for heroes that will take you close to 0 that you have to recover from quickly. But wand is really good against heroes that will slowly push you out of the lane. And this guy's not gonna like, he's just gonna throw a bunch of these on the creep wave, and you're gonna have to take some of the damage. So going wand would have helped with that, because you get the 1 to 1.5 health regen from the mango. I don't like you guys going, what just happened? I think my Dota broke. Dota Plus ruined the game.
Yeah,
So-
it's kind of buggy, Dota Plus right now.
Yeah, when I first got it and I was going through replays, it like when I went through a replay, it like thought I actually played the game, and it was giving me some shit like I'm gonna close Dota real quick. It gave me some shit like
Rewards.
it tried to, and then it was like, we can't give you rewards or whatever. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, like you couldn't claim the reward, and it would pop
Yeah.
up 10 times. I
yeah,
know.
my shit just crashed.
Let me grab a Coke. Be right
Sure.
back. All right, I'm back.
Alright, I got the Dota back open. Um, what the fuck? I guess I can't, like, I guess I can't go back 10 seconds. Um,
But is it Dota or your computer?
Pretty sure it's Dota. I've never had this problem before. My computer's fine to run Dota. But
I also play on the MacBook Pro laptop because I work as a
nice.
graphic designer. That's not optimal.
Probably not. So I'm just gonna like try to not rewind. Um, it's fucking annoying. But what I was gonna say is, you give up the first creep for no reason. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was, I don't really value kills in the early game at all, unless it's first blood. They've nerfed the gold reward and the death time so much, and they've given everyone teleport
Yeah, I saw a
skills.
video about that. Like, if he's the same level as you, it's only gonna give you like 100 gold, and you're missing out on 2 or 3, 4 creeps, and it's only worth it if it's like 3 levels of difference or 2 levels of difference where you get 300, 400 gold.
I don't know.
I
I don't know too much on the like exact formula, but um, the first blood gives you the 200 gold, which like makes it decent. But the shit that happens when you go for the kill is he's gonna be dead for a few seconds. He has a free TP scroll. He's gonna come back to lane with full health and mana, and
and I won't be.
usually when you go on him, you aggro the creep wave onto you, so his creeps are attacking you, and your creeps are attacking his creeps. So the creep wave is going to end up pushing under his tower, and he's going to be full health, and he's going to get full mana. So oftentimes he's like, "Alright, well you killed me. You got 100 gold. Whoop de fucking do." I got more than 100 gold worth of regen that I didn't have to use, and I have a creep wave under my tower. So unless it's first blood, I don't really care about kills at all. Unless it's something like you killed him once and it was really good, and then you can kill him again. Because then his TP scroll will be on cooldown, and the lane's basically over at that point, usually. And yeah, going back to if you went for the salve, or I think the branches and the mango would have been better, you would have had those and your Quelling Blade right now. But because you went for the Quelling Blade and base, you have to use the courier to bring out this shit. And this guy's not going to be able to get his boots right when he has the gold for it because of it. Which could mean that he gets ganked by like the bounty hunter and dies instead of lives or whatever. What was the other
Yeah,
thing?
and the reason I was going for the Underlord is because Bane was so aggressive on him. I would have much preferred to be like farming my creeps.
Well, it's kind of like you can throw your dagger and help a little bit, but you shouldn't be doing much more than that. And you have a mic, so you can easily just be like, "Hey, I'll throw a dagger, but I'm not doing much else. I don't want to push the lane," or something like that.
Yeah.
But another thing that I wanted to talk about is the use of quick buy and the reasons that you want to do it. Which it feeds into you're talking about the off lane, and I think it's pretty important for the off lane. Like, you're interested in off laning itself. There's three main
Like
reasons.
I wanna get better at it for when I have to be the offlaner. Like
Yeah,
last night I played with 5 of my friends. It was a higher rank game for me. I was playing against divines and
yeah,
ancients, and I felt like I couldn't do anything in that game as
yeah.
an offlaner.
I got you. Part of quick buy, you should be using it every game. And there's three real reasons that you want to be doing that. The first is if you buy out, you don't lose gold. Like right now, if you died, you lose 87 gold. But if you bought your boots, you'd only lose 13 gold.
Yeah.
Um, and that adds up. I watched one of my games back where I played Slark, and if I bought out instead of not buying out, it would have ended up, I would have had like 2,000 more gold at the end of the game. And that's from things like I didn't have my treads in a fight that I should have, and then I died instead of getting a kill. So it it might only be like 200, 300 gold by 10 minutes that you lost, but that 200, 300 gold will compound over the course of the game um, into like 2,000 gold at like 50 minutes from you literally just not pressing your quick buy button before you die. Um, and then the second reason is you can quickly get your items. It matters a lot more for mid. Like if you
Yeah, when I play mid, I always quick buy
yeah,
everything. Like I always have it set up.
yeah. And then what I recommend for mid also is like you might have your like bottle and your Aquila or whatever quick buyed, but if you have like let's say you have 6 components, I would add like a salve and a clarity to finish it off, because when you're last hitting, you don't really want to open the shop, buy a salve, and then fly it out. Whereas if you just have it right here, you can just right click it and then fly it out, and that might mean you get your salve 15 seconds sooner because you're busy last hitting for 15 seconds when you know that you're going to need the salve. So it gets there 10, 15 seconds sooner, and maybe you survive the bounty hunter gank instead of not surviving it. And then the main reason that I like it is it makes you, unless you just like follow your guide every single time, you can think about what the lane is going to look like and what you need to do about it. So when we're going back to the wand thing, you can be like, alright, well I'm against an underlord. What is an underlord going to do against me? He's going to constantly harass me with his Q. So what is good for getting constantly harassed? I'm probably going to get Tango's Stout Shield and my 2 branches and my main ghost, so I can mitigate a lot of his constant harass. And the reason that I brought this up pertaining to the off lane is it's a lot more important to itemize against the lane as an offlaner. The best example would be like, let's say you're somebody that doesn't have a blink, and the 2 supports on the enemy team is a Kunkka and a Shadow Shaman, and they have like a Juggernaut. So in that situation, you would want to start with boots, or get boots as soon as possible, because if they catch you, you're dead as fuck no matter what. So you might want to skip a Stout Shield, or not go for a Wand, or something along those lines, because it doesn't matter if you have a Stout Shield or a Wand, they're still going to kill you regardless.
Yeah.
But if they can't catch you because you have boots, then you can just bypass all of that. And if you start thinking about that before you get to the lane, your lanes are going to go a lot cleaner. But there's a bigger reason on that I really like it, and it's if you think about what the lane is going to be like and you play accordingly, you're going to be making an action that you're either going to be right or wrong with. And if you are right, the lane's going to go a lot better. But if you're wrong, you're going to go through a thought process of, why was I wrong here? Why did I even think that way? And how can I do better next time? Whereas if you just follow the recommended items and the lane goes wrong, you didn't really even take an action that you could be wrong from. And so you're not really in a position where you can learn from the mistake. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like you're not using your brain.
Yeah.
Basically.
You can't really learn from the mistakes that you autopilot make. In that situation, at least. Also, something that I've been recommending to like most everyone is doing this for like 3 minutes a day is one of the like best things you can do.
Yeah.
If you're committed enough to getting coaching, you should be committed enough to doing this. It's 3 minutes a day, and the way that I recommend doing it is doing it for 3 minutes a day for like maybe on the weekdays or whatever. But I wouldn't do it for more than one lesson a day, because it's a mechanical thing, and mechanics get better when you've done them and then slept on them and then do them again. So I'd rather have somebody do it for 3 minutes a day every weekday rather than doing it 60 minutes one day and not do it for the rest of the week. You're doing it a fourth of the time, but you're sleeping on it 5 as many times. So you're going to have more results in less time if you just do it and sleep on it and then do it again.
The reason I dropped the Quelling Blade under the tower is because I saw a video that basically explained to you in the table, like if you have less than 50 damage, you have to prep the creeps twice, and you can last hit the creeps. I was trying to do that, but it didn't work out for me.
Well, the thing with this is I would have just pulled it back to my creeps. It probably would have still met under tower, but when you put your creeps in as a variable, it's a lot. You don't have to worry
Easier.
about prep as much because with them attacking between the tower shots, you can either attack early if you have.
It's cutting off what you're saying.
1 sec, let me try. Let me drop this. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay. If you put your creeps in as a variable, they're gonna do damage between tower shots. So, if the creep is really low after the tower shot, you can last hit it early. But if it's still like too high to get the last hit, you can just have these guys attack it once or twice, and then you get the last hit. So adding these guys in reduces a lot of like if you fuck up and you don't have these guys, there's no way to fix it. But if you do fuck up, these guys can fix it for you. So I would have just pulled it back here and then.
Yeah, I felt really bad about missing out all those creeps under my
Yeah.
tower.
But yeah, it's just there's not too much to say about it. It's just really a mechanics thing, and the best thing you can do is practice your last hitting more. And then for those first 2 weeks, you're gonna see huge results from it. Like you'll probably get 30% better at last hitting. I just have a sticky note and I write down what my last hits and denies are. And in my first 2 weeks, I got like 30% better.
But with which hero should I practice in?
I do it with Shadow Fiend, because he's got the lowest, or it's either him or like CM, but he has a pretty decent attack animation and he has really low damage. So if you can last it with Shadow Fiend, it's gonna make it a lot easier to last it with everyone else. But yeah, like if you got your wand sooner and you guys played it like a little bit better, can you like imagine how if you made a lot of smaller fixes, this guy would have been level 5 and you would have been like level 6 with your phase boots, and then you could have solo zoned this guy out.
As in not engaging that much, instead of attacking him that much, control the lane aggro better.
Yeah,
That's what
like,
you mean?
If you had the lane back here more, you went for the mango and the 2 branches instead of the quelling blade to start. You got all your last hits and all of that. If you fixed all of those things, like let's say you laned absolutely perfectly, this guy would have been like level 4 or 5, and you would have been like 6 or 7, and you would have got your phase boots sooner, and then it would have snowballed to the point where you can solo zone this guy out. And it's solo zoning this guy out would have changed the whole game. So it's like how you lane is going to make your mid game be not as optimal as it could be. So the rest of the game is going to be changed based off of all of the small things that you did in lane.
Also, I wanted to ask you, like, I'm not sure when to buy Battle Fury and when not to. For example, as an AM, I know you need your Battle Fury, but as a PA or a Jug, I don't know when to get it or when not.
It's got a lot of like variables. It's kind of like how's your laning going, what are your matchups.
If it's going bad, I shouldn't get Battle Fury.
It depends. Like some games, if it's going bad, you want to go Battle Fury. Some games, if it's going bad, you don't want to go Battle Fury, and that's kind of like, um, how do I put it? It's kind of like if the game's going well, you can possibly just end the game. Let's say they have basically if you have a lot of early game heroes, and they have a lot of late game heroes, it's a lot worse to go for a Battle Fury. Um, but if you have a lot of counter push and it's going bad, and they have a lot of early game heroes, then it's good to go for a Battle Fury if the game's going bad, because you're going to be useless if you go Battle Fury or not, but if you go Battle Fury, you might be useful at 40 minutes if you guys can stall. So it's like there's a lot of different things that go into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically, if we have a lot of early game heroes, I should just go for Desolator and BKB.
Well, it's also it depends on what their heroes are, and then how it's going for you. Um, because if it's going good for you, and you have the early game heroes, you want to just end it out with those heroes. So it's a lot of it's hard to I don't have it fully like I understand it, but I don't understand how to word it exactly, because there's a lot of different there's also do they have illusion heroes? Like if they have a PL, then it's a lot better to get one. If you have heroes that synergize with the Desolator, and then also there's Desolator falls off, but it's really good when you get it early. So if you're having a really good game, maybe you can just get a Desolator and snowball and end the game with that. Or maybe they don't have any catch at all, which makes split pushing better, which makes Battle Fury better. So it's you have to consider a lot of different things when you want to make the absolute correct decision of whether to go Battle Fury or not. So like this game, they have a lot of wave clear with these guys, and you guys kind of have wave clear, but they're super weak early game. This guy's super weak. This guy is just like kind of track gold and shit. This guy is kind of strong early, but meh. This guy is pretty weak early, and then this guy is like nothing early. Bane's pretty strong early. You're pretty strong early if you build around it. This guy's pretty strong early. Enigma is pretty strong in the mid game, and then this guy can be strong. So, like, this is a game where you could go Desolator and run away with the game, where you guys, you go, like, phase Aquila, Desolator, you push down this tower, and then you, like, take a fight and take top or mid, and then you take another fight and take the other one, and then you take Roche, and then you go high ground with it. But a Battle Fury would kind of like, it wouldn't be horrible, but it would be playing into their hands, where you delay the game, which, do you see how that helps their team more?
Yeah.
The game going late. But the Desolator is also like, if you go Desolator and it doesn't work, you can like lose the game because of it. So it's, you have to like have an eye for it, I guess, which is just practice and experience. Like, maybe if you played the lane perfectly and this guy was like below you, and you went like Mask of Madness or some shit, and then you dominate the lane, and then you go Desolator, and then you can snowball from there. But because you're not winning the lane, you might want to go Battle Fury, because if you go Desolator, you're still not going to be winning the lane. If you go Mask of Madness, you're probably still not going to be winning the lane. But with if you go Battle Fury, you're still going to be able to farm whether you're ahead or not. So this is a situation where, like, in lane, going for the Battle Fury is going to be better than going for the Mask of Madness or the Desolator. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, it's just kind of like there's a lot of things to consider when you go different builds, and it's just something that you have to like start thinking about. But yeah, so we're a little bit over time. So do you have any final questions or anything?
Not really. I guess I should just buy more sessions and keep on learning. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's um, I, especially if you're trying to learn a lot of different lanes, like things carry over, like the quick buy. You should be doing that on every hero. And then like the quick buy works for the off lane, safe lane, all of that. But if you're trying to learn like off lane early game, position 4 early game, carry early game, and all of that, which you do need to learn, because that influences the rest of your game. It's not really like you can't really cover that in one session. But yeah, so you don't have any final questions or anything?
Not really right now, cause I feel like I have to learn so many things. I don't have like just one question.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, I think we talked about a good bit of things. So you
So
have enough
basically,
to
use
work
quick
on.
buy more effectively, buy items early game more effectively, and practice on the last hit trainer.
Yeah. And then also if you're playing position 4, thinking about the going through the thought process that I gave you.
Yeah.
If you're playing carry or off lane, thinking about like what your lane's gonna look like, what you can do about it. That also applies to like everyone else too, but more them. Definitely the last hitting. Changing how much you value early kills. But yeah, we talked about a lot of things, but I think you
Just
got most of it.
one more question.
Sure.
For example, when I'm playing Pudge, like I'm taking into account what you're saying. Like, for example, I went bottom lane against Tusk. Now I want to go for Invoker, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe not kill him, just make him aware that I could be there, and that
Yeah.
way he can't harass my Shadow Fiend, or he can't last hit properly.
Yeah.
But what if I just fail the hook? What should I do? Should I go back bottom and harass the Tusk more, or should I just sit there and in the fog and wait for
Yeah.
my next hook?
Off of that replay, I would see kind of like Tusk as the way to get gold if nothing else is working. So if you go mid and you think, okay, I didn't kill this guy. It's kind of like it depends on the situation. If you didn't kill him because of a misplay and you can kill him, then you might want to stay mid. But if you go there and you like no matter what you do, unless it's like absolutely perfect, if you can't kill him still, then you might want to go bottom, farm off of the Tusk some, and then go back mid later.
Okay, all right. One question:
Sure.
what should I do? Should I just buy off the webpage another session
Um,
the same way I did?
one sec.